and it is characterized by the amplitude and the number of rates, which is Hall frequency measured in Hertz. Where are we exposed to vibrations? You will not believe, but we are exposed starting from the car driving in daily activities. But this may not harm ourselves as much as the environment related to some works. So there are people who are working with electric tools, and these are exposed daily, and who knows how many hours in this field. And the theory says, and the literature says, define which is the level of frequency exposed or the body is exposed to. And it is classified into two categories due to the place where they come from, when they are transmitted to the body, namely hand vibration and whole body vibration, and the range of the hertz met in these situations. Of course, it's not the statistics are saying that there are quite a lot of situations when this way of working is conducted to the professional disease, and the most known is the white finger vibrations you see here, or the whole body, but this is mainly the most known one, which affects the fingers. And if you look to this picture, the lower is the level of hertz of the vibration, the higher is the damage of some parts. So it has been classified by the World Health Organization as a professional disease. I will not pretend that I am a specialist in this, but I started to read and to understand and to see if by textile material we can contribute to some of these effects. There are standards which regulate the testing or the determination of the frequency during the exposure to the vibrations, either it's for the body or the hand arm. And it is also true that hand arm vibration is treated separately from the body. So the whole body means feet and the body, and the hand arm vibration has a separate way of testing. The principle is that our body, the human body, is considered a dynamic system, as it is in fact, and can be associated with a spring, with a damper. And each system, no matter which system, has a different natural frequency, because you will hear me talking about this topic, natural frequency. This is something which we have in our body, in materials, and so on. The situation is not so simple, as I believe we are still researching and reading and searching. When I started to make these measurements, I couldn't find too much literature, but I discovered 2-3 research groups from Hong Kong mainly, nowadays from Japan. So let's say we are a group of people citing each other, reading the literature that we can deliver, and the fact that they cited our result means that we are, I didn't know if we are on the good way. It was just some trials. What can be done in case of vibrations? First, we can remove the source if it's possible. We can reduce the exposure of the person in the source, or wherever is possible, we can decrease the time of exposure, we can take breaks and so on. But sometimes it's not possible. The worker cannot say, I will stop and I will go out because I am exposed. So not always is possible, and one of the solutions is, of course, the wearing of the personal, would you like to close the door? The personal protective equipment, and the commercial existing ones are the gloves, because as I said, the hands are suffering the most, and these are already commercial, the protective gloves. Usually the protective layer is in the palm area, and then the rest of the palm is covered by other materials. they are worn a long time. So there are colleagues also who tried to replace these parts of the gloves with materials, and these materials should meet some requirements, especially regarding thickness. However, we cannot produce as much as thick material we want because it's a matter of dexterity and of usability of these gloves. So there is a limitation regarding the thickness. When we design such a material, we have to consider some aspects. First, the vibration parameters, I mean the specific conditions of use, which means the frequency that the body is exposed, the body position is sitting, is standing, is whatever, the distance to the source, the amplitude, and I didn't research the part to amplify vibrations, but I read that it is possible. I will tell you later. So to set up the purpose of the material, either we let the vibrations to go through, or we stop it. Both situations can happen. And then we thought how to measure this. There are standardized methods if you are lucky and have the equipment, or you can use some experimental methods like we did. This is a stand for measurement the gloves. It exists, we don't have it in the faculty, so we tried to characterize the material in other methods or by other methods. For the specialists in the fields, you know that either it's 3D, woven of knitted fabrics. I have heard today many presentations about composites, and that means some thick fabrics, 3D. They have this characteristic of being breathability, especially knitted fabrics, which are characterized by porosity, so the air and it's possible to go through. And some research tests from our colleagues from Poland, for example, prove that these are good for the driver's seat for vehicle. Imagine that a professional driver is exposed every day to these vibrations. So some seats were developed by them using a sensor put inside and measuring the vibration. Or if you carry children in a car, then it might be exposed, so you can. This is a good application that could be searched. Of course, in a knitted material, we have different raw materials, different yards, nature, type, and so on. I will try to go on a little bit, and who will be interested, you can approach me, not to bore you. I know it's a long day for everybody. But we tried to measure this fabric by using a free vibration method. I will show you very quickly what this means. So we dynamically excited the system, and when we release it, it generates three vibrations. Like guitar players, that can vibrate. To give you a simple example and to imagine what was. And when it happens this, it is defined by natural frequencies, which can be measured, and things which we did. Here we have a simple stand that we use. These are some spacer fabrics. And here is a hammer, here is metallic mass, an accelerometer which is connected to the computer, so we excited the material. We have a fast Fourier transformer which will give us graphs like this. And what we do with the graphs to, once we have this, we can measure, this is the natural frequency, the highest peak of this curve, it's this material characteristics, and we can also evaluate the material according to the shape of this. The smoother is the shape, the higher is the capacity of the material to absorb vibrations. I will go very quickly through the materials we tested. We tried various structures. This is what we do. That's in my closer field. And we had some preliminary conclusions that the raw material nature gives different level of frequency for the materials. In this graph we have cotton and acrylic versus polyester and polypropylene. And for those who, I don't know if anybody have been specialists in knitting, but the most important parameter which is controllable is the stitch length, which controls all the subsequent parameters of the fabric. So NP is the value set in the computer design systems for flat knitting sheets. So it gives the stitch density, in fact, and this influences a lot of properties. In our case, as I said, we tested space and liquid fabrics. These are the most interesting from this point of view of energy absorption, damping capacity, and so on, because they have a certain geometry, and what is happening inside is happening the friction phenomena. So by friction, they dissipate and they absorb the energy, can be some other sound or whatever impact can be. We saw the Raja with his presentation and the bullet and so on. So we have young types, whatever parameters, and we also tried if in spacer fabrics you can create screening effect by monofilaments. Monofilaments like the fishing, monofilaments. And they actually did, they respond. So we discovered and we were, let's say, confirmed by our colleagues that monofilament diameter, the nature of the monofilament, usually polyamide polyester, made the difference, and also the connecting ratio between the layers and machine gauge, which is for us very important. Okay, so finally, if we list the most important parameters, they are
the objectives of what we are doing are mainly working on the strategic approach towards sustainability of the different organizations that are involved, but also working with circular economy projects, information and awareness, training, of course, both at the academic, in the academic domain, but also training within the organizations, within the companies, within the industry itself. So-called continuous education. Three main projects that we are in the process of continuing to do, or some finished in the last few months. Together with the NIDO, the United Nations Industrial Development Organization, we have been implementing a circular value chain program for the fashion industry in the Mediterranean region, namely including Tunisia, Morocco, and Egypt. And the idea was to enhance the circular value chain within those industries with the involvement of several companies, of course, because we know very well, we know it from this morning, if we don't have the brands sitting at the table, we can discuss academia, but we need to crisscross things with the industry itself. OTB, that is the Diesel Group, UPGs, and PDH, were some of the organizations that were directly involved in those very programs. A newer project that we have been involved in the latest months, that is just started, is led by it is a program of the European Commission, and it is a project for the transition pathways for stakeholders support platform, and is the one dedicated to the textile ecosystem. Of these kind of platforms, the European Commission has developed several one for local communities, one for tourism, and they want to develop several other ones. As you can imagine, the idea of having a place where all the stakeholders can talk their talk. They can talk about their specific issues and specific needs, is very much linked to what is going to come with the new regulations that, again, it is the other main subject of this conference, apparently. But it is the reality. I also have the feeling that it's going to change the way that we will do business, independently from where we are. Okay, if sooner or later someone that is us or is related to us will be importing something or selling something into Europe, we'll have to fulfill certain regulations. So the third project that I want to talk to you about, it is the work that we do with Milanunica. Milanunica is a textile fabrics and accessories fair in Milan. Taking place in Milan, is the second largest and most important fairs after Première Vision in Paris in Europe. And within their program, all products that want to be displaced in their trend area, so it's the beginning, it's the entrance of the fair, where everyone will see how the exhibitors of the fair, that are more than 300 exhibitors from all over Italy, but also from abroad, will want to be perceived by the visitor, that is the buyer from the brand, let's not forget. All these samples need to go under a scrutiny for their sustainability performances. This last edition, that was just a couple of weeks ago, we analyzed more than 3,000 products that were displayed as at least having some sustainability characteristics. But let's move to the core of my presentation and the title that was written there. I want to concentrate on something that we have developed in the first of these three projects that I've been talking about. So is the potential for investing in chemical recycling. Okay, I'm not a technician, I'm not an engineer or a chemical engineer, so I will not talk, and whatever is written there technical and is wrong, it's not my fault. There's someone else who wrote it. I'm just repeating things. Why I'm saying that? Because for me what is important is that, okay, technology technology is there. We're going to reach the good one and the feasible one. So, and that's not, I don't think it is the real issue. The real issue is, shall we do it? Or how can we do it? Or if we do it, then what? Which are the obstacles and the issues that are related to that? What is clear, and this is the starting point, is that the demand that is driven by brand, by retailers, by state regulation, again, it's growing, and it's clear that it's growing. It is several issues, reissues of the earlier reports from McKinsey and from many others are saying that the request for this is growing. And what is growing is not only let's use more mechanically recycled cotton, but it's also the use of polymers in general, okay, from recycled sources. And we know that we cannot continue recycling our Aquafina bottles. We will not go anywhere, especially because we cannot recycle it forever. Just a few times probably if we are lucky. So what we have decided to look into is a work that we have done within the Egyptian context, the industrial textile industry in Egypt. And so the questions that we ask to ourselves for this work, so a pre-feasibility study for a large-scale chemical recycling plant in Egypt, was, is there potential for investment? Which are the issues that need to be covered, the points that need to be covered in order to be able to think that I could choose either one or different technologies that are available, and then which are the conditions that will make the investment economically and financially viable. Okay, so this was done in this context of this work that we have done with the United Nations Development Organization, funded by the European Commission. Okay, so the beginning of our feasibility study can only start from, is there something to recycle or not? So out of our mapping exercise that we did in the Egyptian industry, we have understood that eventually 37% of the waste that is produced at the post-industrial level in Egypt, it is suitable for chemical recycling. What does it mean in our way of talking? It means that it is not suitable for mechanical recycling. So it's the other way around. So it is there because probably we cannot go towards a fiber-to-fiber mechanical recycling. Of course, industrial symbiosis is always there for mechanically recycling or downcycling, honestly, mixed fibers. So why working in the direction of recycling into a fiber-to-fiber concept, 37% of that waste would matter to the country? Well, they do import a lot of PP, for example, annually 74 kilotons, and that's a lot of dollars economically of investment. So we would, it would be a saving in foreign currency because everything is based on internal, you're importing, paying things in dollars, not in your local currency. So the reduction in imports is another important aspect, and of course a general sustainability approach of the entire industry and of the country, how the country does place themselves on the international discourse. That's very important. But let's not forget also the aspect that is very much linked to job creations. And especially because we're talking of educated job creation, not necessarily unskilled workers. So for this feasibility that was conducted almost a year ago, was finished almost 1 year ago, even though it was presented much later, it was due to bureaucracy of the UN. We did concentrate on two technologies that were the two that were already able to share a bit of data at that time. And so there is a solvent-based dissolution and purification and an hydrolysis-based deep microwave that does separate things. One of the major differences is in the feedstock, because feedstock, we heard it already this morning, it is the big issue when we talk about chemical recycling. The fact is that the two technologies, they can handle very different typologies of feedstock, but it is true that the hydrolysis-based can accept a higher percentage of contamination compared to the depolymerization, to the purification one. The outputs are the ones we expected. The idea is to work extensively with polycottons, so we are expecting to have something that is able to the pulp or viscose production on one hand, and either rPET resins or depolymerized polyester on the other hand. One thing about this is that we are talking about CapEx and OpEx of a CapEx of $100 million or $200 million, depending on the two technologies. The OpEx are very different, even though they are not so far away from each other, and the reason why is because the two technologies, exactly the slide is cut in half, let's look at this one. The utilities in one of the two technologies are much larger because the hydrolysis one uses a lot of energy, while the other technology uses large amount of chemicals. So let me move to the my last slide. So there are remarkable volumes there for going towards chemical recycling. The main issue is to have good waste available, constant stream of waste available. There is potential for import substitution, and this would increase the reputation of the country if it can be implemented. So once we have solved the two main issues, that is the regularity and the quality of input, and of course the financial input that is necessary to start the entire exercise, we can say that we have more or less reached a very good result for the entire industry. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your very nice and informative presentation and keeping the right time. We can ask only one question.
Thank you very much. Just wondering if you can say at the end of the story, this kind of recycling process can be performed in the near future for the recycling of waste materials in terms of cellulose-based fibers.
I mean, we are talking facilities in this very days. So both of them.
Reasonable? I mean, the price of recycled fibers is quite reasonable for doing in the textile industry?
Well, it depends on the size of the kind of operation. Our study was working around the 40. Very interested in that. And if it's not textile to textile, then it's paper industry. Okay. And if it's not textile to textile for the polymers, the packaging industry is there ready. I mean, the Aquafina owner, that is again Coca-Cola, as we all know, will be very happy to have new polymers from recycled sources. Thank you very much.
biggest university in Pakistan, having 34 undergrad programs, and about 30 master's programs and a number of PhD programs. So undergrad registration for the undergraduate strength is around 10,000 for 4 years. So it's a very big one. So. As I mentioned here, that I would like to talk about how to bring revolution to the textile industry by improving recycling into recycling from the diversified textile waste. So without it, we're going to get started. Now, if you look at the pictures there on the left and the right, what you would like to have. The one where we have land with plants and the other which is filled with waste. Which one is better? I want you to answer. Would you like it to be planted or would it be covered with waste? Of course, everyone wants it to be planted. Yeah. So the thing is, what can be done and how it could be done, why it happened, why it's not the case with we can grow the plant, but rather we have that kind of picture here. It's one of the contributors, textile industry, in terms of it's producing 20% global water pollution, 30% global microfiber pollution, 10% carbon emission, solid waste generation, and definitely have toxic and harmful chemicals. Okay. So when we talk about the waste, waste is nothing but only the things which we don't want or we want to discard. It could be from the production side, it could be from the post-consumer ones, and so on. The solid waste management strategy was in place. If you just look in there, so basically it will start with what we have, when we have production waste, we have consumer waste. Can you listen to me? Am I audible? Yes. Right. When we look into it, so we can see that there are waste collection, waste sorting, then it will go to useful solid waste. Either it could be incinerated, or it will be it's landfill. But at the same time, after sorting, we just bring it into different grades. High and low grade values. We can either reuse it or recycle it and make the production process again, and then the whole cycle repeats. So this is the whole cycle which actually move in this way. So what the strategies could be used to reduce the material consumption and natural resources? First of all, in the morning we have a session where we're talking about slow fashion, so that means promoting slow fashion could be one of the source. We need to change the thinking of the consumer, that what's their responsibility, how it could be done, and what can be done. We need to educate them. Then of course we can reuse the garments. It's of course a very big second-hand market with pre-loved fabrics. Then we have the recycle option. Recycle options have fiber recycling, polymer and monomer recycling, and then of course one other way is to recover energy from the waste. If you just look at the figures there, why I have taken that project. If you just look at the here, there's around 124 million tons of fabric being produced. The major fiber which being produced, cotton mainly, cotton and polyester. So if you look at the woolen and the other material, the contribution is minimum. This is for the virgin material. But when you look at the recycled fiber market, so what's the picture? We can see that hardly 1, 2, 3, not more than that being recycled. And if we closely look into the fiber section there, how much being reproduced for polyester, recycled, so that means the polyester is on the top with approximately 12% being recycled. But if you look at the cotton, it's hardly 1%. I'm talking about post-consumer waste data. So what can be done? So the thing is, why it's not in the way we want, why textile recycling is not there. There are certain challenges which are actually hindering the recycling of those ones. First of all, we don't have technical resources for recycling. There is lack of awareness about recycling practices. And of course, when we look at the fiber production, so the fiber or the garment, what we normally wear, it's not a single fiber. So you can say that those fibers are actually not designed in a way that should be recycled completely. So a blended material is much harder to recycle than the single one, the single fiber-based garment. So these are the hindrances which are actually limiting the use of recycling of blended materials or any other fiber. So the traditional methods which are available for the recycling include mechanical, chemical, and enzymatic recycling. When we look at the enzymatic one, when we look at the mechanical recycling practices, most of the companies here in Pakistan do practice mechanical recycling as far as cotton is concerned, where we have fiber to fiber option. And the other one where we have chemical recycling, it's a very limited one, where we can go to the polymer and up to the polymer range. And then we have enzymatic resizing, where we can use the enzymes to degrade one of the fiber. So the stages, as I mentioned earlier, we can recycle fabric, fiber stage, polymer stage, and up to the level of monomer. Now, if we just look into it and look at the challenges there are the green ones, the yellow ones, and the red ones. The green ones says that the fiber, which I mentioned at the top, can be recycled up to the level of fiber or polymer recycling stage. The yellow one shows it could be done up to the level of monomer recycling. And when we look at the red ones, so that means we can't recycle actually up to the level of polymer and monomers due to their complexity. So the wool, the elastane, these are, you can see that wool for polymer and monomer stage can't be recycled, and for elastane, the fiber recycling and polymer recycling is not possible. So we left with different options, we left with very limited options there. So at the bottom we have the circular fashion practices there. Either it could be starting from the garment to the fabric, fabric to the yarn, or we can take it directly from the garment to the fiber or polymer onto the monomer one. So what's limiting it, or what's limiting recycling? So the number one is processing. It's difficult to process. Second, the chemicals, the presence of chemicals make it really difficult to recycle. And the third one is, of course, recycling technologies are not available up to that level. When we compare the mechanical and the chemical recycling practices, so in few cases, yes, mechanical recycling is a very good option, but has certain limitations. For example, in the denim industry, most of the post-consumer waste being recycled. If it's 100% cotton, in that case, there is a problem that the properties, mechanical properties, will suffer, and we can't get that value which is equivalent to virgin one. So that's the main problem. Otherwise, mechanical one is a very cost-effective option, and it's simple. When we look at chemical recycling practices, so in that case, we have the option that all the properties which have been deteriorated by mechanical recycling could easily be managed. We can have the new yarn, new fiber with the same properties as that of virgin. So these practices are actually changing the routine practice of recycling. Now, if you look at the project which we have taken, recovery of 100% cotton fiber from industrial and post-consumer waste. That is the project which we are doing at our university. Why we have selected 100% cotton recovery? Because you have seen in the previous slide that only 1% of post-consumer cotton being recycled till now. Yes, the industrial waste that's been recycled up to the extent of 75 to 80%, but the post-consumer waste recycling is still a question. So we have taken that project, and why we have taken that project, the reason is Pakistan. Pakistan should come to this first, because it's the 8th largest exporter, 4th largest producer, and it's also the 4% of contributing towards the 46% of the total manufacturing sector, and it is a complete supply chain. So mills which consume cotton in last year 2023-24, so you can see that 1965,000 metric ton being produced by the mills, and where they have consumed that one, of course, for manufacturing blended yarns, CDC yarn, 100% cotton yarn, and the blended fabric, and so on. So our target is to recover cotton as much as possible, for which you can see we opt chemical recycling rather than we go to the mechanical recycling, for which we have developed a roadmap that what can be done. And in this case, you can see a stage which is in green, sorry. So that stage is actually a crucial stage when we talk about the recovery of fiber, one fiber from the blend. We have selected cotton lycra, we have selected polyester lycra, and we have selected PC lycra fabric for our work, because most of the fabric which is available in Pakistan, and Pakistan is really working on cotton-rich combinations. So in this case, the very first one is we need to identify the ratio, and then we have to go for mechanical shredding, and then we have to go for the pre-treatment processes to remove any color or chemical finishes, and then we have to dissolve it into the solvent, and then the post-treatments, and then later we can either regenerate the fibers if it's a cotton, or in case if it's polyester, so we can go for a metal spinning. So this is complete roadmap. Now, in case, as I said in the beginning, the selection of chemical is the main criteria. Which kind of solvent you are going to use for that purpose? Because the lycra, as you know, it's very tough material in that sense. It's non-polar in nature, and of course, no such solvent is available which can dissolve lycra easily. So when we look into the detail that how we can recover cotton with the same properties by dissolving lycra, so we came to know that basically we have 3 provisions of chemical. The very first one is polar aphrotic acids, which can be used for that purpose. The second one is green approach, and the third one is, of course, the other chemicals. When we compare the polar aphrotic acids with the other one, the green ones, of course the green one is better, while the first one has harmful effect into the environment as well as on human health. For example, DMF, it's not safe to be used. So based on this, we have the selection criteria for dissolving solvent. The very first one is it should have good physical properties. The very first criteria. Secondly, it has the ability to dissolve the required fiber, which is lycra in our case. Third, it should not damage the other fibers, or should damage to a very smaller extent, and of course should be environmental friendly. Based on it, what we did, we have selected green solvents for our work. Here is some comparison with the aquatic acid, and the other one is with the green one. We have done gravimetric analysis, we have done the strength analysis of yarn. We have taken a yarn, blended yarn, 100% yarn. The approach is first to test our chemicals with 100% material, for example 100% cotton, 100% polyester, and then we will go to the blended material and then see what's happening. So what we have seen, we have taken one protic acid and the other one is the green compound, green chemical. And when we compare it, we came to know that we selected on the basis first, the initial screening is done based on the physical properties. And the second one is, as I said, it's how much it's going to dissolve. You can see from those results that the protic acid can dissolve like that easily, as you can see here to the left, where when we dissolve 1 gram of the fiber, 1 gram of the yarn into the solvent, what's happened? It's completely dissolved. But the rest, when we taken the green solvent, it dissolved up to the level of 85 to 90%. But still 10% is present, for which we are working on. In all the cases, when we look at the blends, where we have prepared the samples with the known lycra concentration into it, what we can see here, that in case of cotton lycra, we have 4 to 5% of lycra in it. So when we dissolve it, so the weight loss is around 4 to 5%, which is of course of lycra. And the next one is the yarn strength better, whether the selected solvents degrade the yarn. So what we can see here on the left, we have cotton and cotton lycra. For 100% cotton, you can see that there is no effect. Just give me 1 minute and I'm concluding, right? Thank you. Okay, so here you can see that on your left, that when we compare the green, aquatic and untreated material, so you can see that the yarn strength data is almost similar. While in case of lycra cotton blends, you can see that there is no such reduction in the tenacity of the fiber. But in case of polyester lycra blend and for polyester, you can see that the green solvent which we have used in this work has the ability to affect polyester as well. So that will give it another idea that if we are optimizing the condition, there is a possibility that polyester along with the lycra could easily be dissolved. So we are, because this project is in progress, we have sent the samples for FTIR and SEM. So I'm hopeful that the results would be as per our expectation. Finally, we could conclude what we can conclude from that presentation is a significant volume of textile apparel and home textile has been manufactured from virgin fiber with a minimum proportion being recycled. And Pakistan being the 8th largest producer of cotton and 3rd largest consumer of cotton fiber, there is a potential that chemical recycling could be used. And of course, chemical recycling can be clutched with other recycling techniques so that maximum benefit could be achieved. Green solvents should be used in order to get the results, the required results, because if we follow the criteria which I have shown you earlier, so that selection criteria would really help to find the right green chemical. I'm concluding my presentation by a quote from Robert Zen. We don't have to engage in grand heroic action to participate in change. The small, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the world. And it's the time to transform the world. So thank you very much for your patience. If you have any question answer, if you have any questions, please ask.
Thank you. But let's skip the questions because of the time shortage.
Right.
Let me to invite our next speaker, Mr. Mustafa Ahmed, to artistic ingredient to present his lecture. Mr. Mustafa Ahmed. So let's move forward to the next presentation. Mr. Abdul Karim from Hall-1 University, China. Okay, so let's close the session. Yes, they were the last presenters. Okay. So this session is finished, and yes, thanks again to all presenters for their valuable presentations and information.
Now for certifications, we would like to call our session chair on stage. Please, session. Professor Dr. Virala Bhatt. Mr. Alberto. Dr. Salma Farooq. Now I would like to call Dr. Wang Shekhar to present certificate to session chair. Thank you so much to everyone for being here today.
Thank you all for your presence. We will resume tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. So please make your presence in time. Thank you very much for a very fruitful day. Thank you.
Professor?